Hey, welcome to the channel. Today we are looking at the BBC Radiophonic Workshop library from Spitfire Audio. Before DAWs, before plugins or sample libraries or anything like that, these guys, the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, pioneered electronic music. These guys recorded a plethora of sounds just with found items. They manipulated them with things like voltages and wires and tape loops and crazy stuff like that. This was not only the birth of electronic music, but is also the birth of electronic music and TV scoring. You may have heard their music and sounds in shows such as the original BBC Doctor Who, the BBC Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and a lot more. Just a disclaimer, Spitfire Audio did send me this library to review. However, they never tell me what to say or to make the reviews positive or give me any feedback essentially on what I cannot say in these. If you're into this library, check out the link below. You can click on it. It'll take you right to Spitfire's website. You can buy the library at an intro price, and it also supports me, the channel, and my music. All right, so let's dive right in here. The first thing that I did was write this texture that you hear in the beginning. Now, when I heard the sound, I immediately got the vibe of the library. I was instantly transported into this 1950s, 60s sci-fi adventure, like Flash Gordon or something like that. I wasn't too sure I was going to find a use for this library, but immediately when I started playing with it, I just started having fun. And I don't think there really has to be a use sometimes more than having fun. So this library is housed in Spitfire's new plugin format, or at least I think it's new, but it's in their new Solar plugin, which basically looks like their regular Spitfire audio plugin, but it's synthy. It's got all these synth parameters. It's got oscillators and LFOs and crazy effects. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the plugin is a little confusing at first. I think that if there is any criticism, it really goes towards the UI. I do like things that when I open it up, I can immediately sort of start fidgeting with it and kind of understand what I'm doing. But with this, it did take me a little bit. I have another one of their libraries that are in this format, the Polaris one, but I never really dived deep into the sound design abilities of it. So if you come up here and click on the big knob, they have all these filters that you can use. They have high pass filters, low pass filters, etc. Down here you have the two patch bays. So essentially you can load two different sounds at a time and then kind of crossfade between them using this lever down here. You can also oscillate it, so it goes back and forth automatically, which is cool. All right, down here you have more volume, pitch, and filter controls. So these are for each patch. You also have ADSR, of course, and then high pass, low pass. I believe these control the wobble effect. So that's kind of a fast LFO that's sort of just built into it. And so these sliders control the amount. So you can have a filter wobble, a pitch wobble. I will say that these are kind of Spitfire's signature thing for their Solar plugin, and I think these controls specifically work really well for this library. You can very easily create just something kind of weird. All right, so if you come up here in this middle button, this takes you to all the effects. So you have Bay A effects, Bay B effects. So we have different effects that pop up depending on which sound that we have. So these will fill in differently depending on which sound that you choose over here in patch A or patch B. As you go through, you can click on these individual effects and they all have controls on them. We also have an aux, which gets sent a signal from both patches. And we also have a master effects. All right, over here on the last tab, we have a gate sequencer. So you switch this on and you can basically infer what it does. Chops the signal. You have a depth slider down here, which controls how much of the signal gets chopped. You can create more complex patterns with it. Now, those are the most important parts of the plugin's interface. If you want to dive deeper into some of the more advanced sound design capabilities, you definitely can. But I think as long as you know what these tabs for, the wobble, the envelopes, the effects panel, the gate sequencer, you can pretty much create something pretty cool. I wanted to write something kind of in the style of Doctor Who, even though I'm not really a Doctor Who fan. So I immediately started writing something a little spooky, a little strange, basically in that realm. So after the pad, we have this sound effect coming in. And that to me just screams 1950s, 1960s sci-fi. I was so excited. It sounds like a laser beam or something. This patch is actually called cloning miniaturization. That's a tough word to say. Oh man. And then we have this sweep into a boom sound that I found, which I was excited about because I didn't have to use a different library for, you know, like a rise and then a hit. But it sounds like this. And I forget how they made this one, but I'm pretty sure it's just like junk percussion. Let's see, it's one of their warps. I'm not sure exactly what the warps are. Interior rocket. I think that is a found sound. I could be wrong. And we have a theremin. Of course, we have a theremin. Now, I couldn't find it at first. I knew this library had to have one, but it's kind of hidden, but I should have known. I'm not really a Doctor Who fan, so I didn't get the reference, but this patch is called Do-wee-oo. But the tone of this theremin and the glide is so good. The legato sound of this is so good. I didn't exactly have a very good theremin library. Actually, I had no theremin library, but I don't know if there's like a deep sampled one out there. I don't even know if it really needs a deep sampled one, but to me, this just instantly has the character that I'm going for if I ever needed a theremin. Now, I have these impacts happening in the background, and I believe these are found sounds. Ah, it's a thunder sheet. Yeah, so I like that because it gave it kind of a like a trashy but ambient sort of vibe. As soon as I started playing around with this patch, the whole piece kind of started to take shape into a little bit more experimental and dirtier sound, in my opinion. After that, I kind of came up with this guitar riff. So that was created using a Ebo guitar and these plucks. I'm not sure what exactly is being plucked, but it does sound like a guitar to me, so I used it. Then halfway through the melody, we have these junk sounds coming in. I actually don't know what sound this is. What is this? Oh, it's a triangle. Oh, that's cool. Shell stick hit. Not sure what kind of shell. But either way, it sounds really industrial and trashy, and so I liked it. After that, I kind of created this groove to go along with the next section, using that sound. I kind of wanted to create this swinging, like, bouncy feel, kind of reminiscent of the Doctor Who theme and other stuff around that era. It was just important to me that it wasn't straight eighth for some reason. So once this got in there, it kind of changed the feel and the groove of the track a little bit. We have an organ, of course. It's called Villain's Organ. giving it kind of a spookier vibe. And then finally taking us into this next session, we have this sort of riser sweep soundscape kind of thing, which is an amazing 1960s style transition. Immediately gives so much character to the piece. I actually didn't know much about the BBC Workshop, so after they sent me this library, I did some research, and I kind of like went down that rabbit hole a little bit and really got into this stuff. But a lot of these sounds I still don't know exactly where they came from, so someone who's more familiar with their music will probably know a lot more about the sound sources than I do. But this sound came from a Scorpio gun. I don't know what that is. I'm sure that it's just a bespoke sound that they created. And then there's this mysterious being patch. So altogether, we have this first section sounding like this. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I do have this bass patch down here that's doubling the guitar. Very distorted. Yeah, okay, so these are actually guitar plucks with lots of saturation on them. 282,000%. After that section, we have the melody coming back in its full form, and we have this choir patch doubling it. Altogether, sounds like this. Okay, and after that we go into this kind of breakdown section, and this is where it starts to get a little modern. In my opinion, this section sounds kind of modern, experimental. Now, this made me really happy because this shows to me that I can use this in my tracks today, that I don't have to write, this retro throwback track in order to use this library. It's still got very, very useful sounds. Now this drum beat down here, I can't remember which patch I used, but it did come from this library. But it was this higher pitched percussion loop that wasn't tempo synced, so I had to bounce it to audio and then kind of stretch it to get where I want. But that sounds like this. And then I just threw Decapitator on it and Distressor to kind of distort it and mangle it and press it. Again, we have the sound effects from the cloning patch going. And then that combines with the sound sweep patch again. And what I did here was, I believe I switched out the B patch. I think that the original patch comes with this, but the Scorpio gun, I found this and kind of inserted it so that way, towards the end of the sound, you hear that sort of bubbling kind of gun effect. And then we have the tail end of our theremin melody once again. And then out. Now, the pros of this library are that it has a very, very unique character, and the sound of it is so good and so authentic sounding to this style and era of music that simply just playing a patch or two will take you into that world, and the track will literally write itself. Don't quote me on that. The track will not actually write itself, but you will be inspired to write it. Now, the cons are kind of exactly the same as the pros a little bit. It has a very distinct sound, and as soon as you start inserting these sounds, it kind of transports you to this other era and this other style of music. Which means not a lot of it can be used in modern music, but as I displayed towards the end, there are a lot of good patches in here that work great in modern sounding experimental electronic music. Now, I would say this library really opens up once you start playing with the different individual sound sources. So if you're comfortable doing your own sound design and mixing and mangling these sounds, you're going to get a lot out of this because it has so much audio. I mean, look at this. They recorded so much. In fact, I would say that the amount of sounds they actually recorded for this library is not proportional at all to the amount of actual finished patches that they made. So my recommendation would be to, have fun with the presets, but at some point just kind of ignore the presets and do your own thing, because the Solar plugin does have a lot of sound design capabilities, and the raw content that they have recorded is just awesome. Now, would I buy this library? Yes. It is such a time capsule and love letter to the beginnings of electronic musicians, not to mention the beginnings of electronic music and film and TV. We all grew up watching these films and TV shows, either on your own accord or with your parents. In my case, it was with my parents, watching, the original Star Trek, Doctor Who, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Flash Gordon. We watched all of it. And so even though I wasn't born in this time period, it very much hits me with the nostalgia. And also, as of now, I don't have a way to create these sounds myself. None of the synth plugins that I have are kind of reminiscent of that era. So right now, this is the only one that kind of gives me this character if I was looking for it. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said before, if you go down to the link in the description, it'll take you to Spitfire Audio, and if you end up buying the library, it'll support me and the channel. Again, Spitfire Audio is not paying me to make a good review. They're just asking me to put awareness on their product, so that's exactly what I'm doing. Please like and subscribe and do all the things. It really, really helps with YouTube's algorithm, and I will see y'all next time.